There are three gates to hell: one in the desert, one in the ocean, and one in Jerusalem. That intriguing tagline is for the Israeli horror film titled JeruZalem, directed by the Paz brothers. Unfortunately, even with a cool tagline and a cool setting, the movie ends up being a bit of a letdown and a missed opportunity of the location. JeruZalem is what I guess you'd maybe classify as a found footage film, but it's pretty different from any found footage film that I've seen because it's told entirely from a specific point of view, because the main wearer is wearing these glasses that are essentially Google Glass. The characters themselves don't call them Google Glass because they don't have those rights, so they're just called Glass. But I'd almost describe it as it's almost its own genre, like a point of view genre, if that's a thing. Mainly because there's pretty much just one fixed angle, and that's from eye level of the main character Sarah, and we see what she's seeing as things develop throughout the movie. So, while other found footage movies are, cameras put on different angles, the most famous found footage movies of recent times, Paranormal Activity, have sort of the fixed camera positions throughout the home, also intercut with handheld footage and things like that. This movie's different because it's not just continuous rolling, and it's not as if somebody finds her glasses and is playing this footage back later. It's almost like we're experiencing it through her eyes. With that point of view, it's almost like a first-person video game, and I feel like there are some interesting things you could do with that, but JeruZalem unfortunately has just some minor jump scares, doesn't use the point of view in a very interesting way to build a creepy story or a creepy atmosphere, and it spends too much time, really, on our vacationing characters. Now, obviously, with the tagline, this movie is mainly about the Gateway to Hell opening in Jerusalem. But there's little build-up or suspense to get us to that moment where the gateway actually opens and hell is released on Earth. You're literally waiting nearly 3/4 of this movie for something to happen, and following these two girls on this vacation and a male friend that they meet on the flight. And honestly, there's more horror in this movie about some vacation related things than actual demons. I mean, everybody probably has the fear that if they're going to travel and go to a foreign country, what if something goes wrong? What if there's a war that breaks out, or violence, or I lose my bags, or I get kidnapped, or there's just, the culture that you're not adapted to. And things like that happen in this movie. Sarah gets her bag stolen. Her friend plays a prank on her where she looks like a hooded local that's calling her to come down this dark alley. And those things are more terrifying than the actual demons or hell opening up, which is what this story is supposed to be about. When I see the tagline in the trailer for JeruZalem, I wanted to see a movie about hell opening up, not really a Chevy Chase vacation film or something. As we're seeing things through Sarah's eyes for most of the entire movie, we're supposed to feel sympathetic for her. We're supposed to kind of relate to her, experience things through her, because she just lost her brother, which is a huge point made in the movie. And this vacation with her good friend Rachel to Jerusalem is supposed to be a way for her to kind of reboot, unwind, and kind of learn how to have a good time again, because she's really struggling with the loss of her brother. Unfortunately, with the way things go down in this movie, she would have been better off going to the Bahamas or to Hawaii or something, and instead, things get pretty bad. All that being said, JeruZalem is actually a very visually interesting location to film a movie, and not a lot of movies have been filmed in Jerusalem. It has a great atmosphere with these dark stone passages and tan colors, and unlike most other big cities throughout the world, in this day and age, there's not giant skyscrapers or billboards, so it kind of has a much more spiritual feel. And in the night scenes, just with its biblical history and unfortunate long history of violence, there is kind of a foreboding feel in some of the night scenes in different locations. I wanted the setting to be used so much more for a creepiness factor, but instead we waste a lot of time with the characters partying in bars and Sarah's kind of developing relationship with this character Kevin, who they actually meet on the flight over. They nickname him Indiana Jones because he's actually an archaeologist, and his role in the movie is he kind of fills in the gaps with the hell mythology and how hell ties into Jerusalem, so that's kind of his main role. But what's missed out in this movie is the lack of culture and tension that the setting brings to actually build suspense and lead into the part where demons are actually descending on Earth. And instead, the first half of the movie is kind of filled with lame jump scares. My favorite character in the movie is the character of Omar, who's played by actor Tom Graziani, and he's just a really likable dude. You know, he kind of hooks up Rachel and Sarah with the best amenities in the hotel and kind of brings them to all these secret spots and is really kind of their connection to some of the other residents of the city and kind of the culture there, which adds an interesting aspect to the movie. As the movie progresses and we do finally get to the good stuff with the demons released on Earth, there's some major underreactions that happen from the main characters, starting with early on when hell has first opened up and they're hearing things, they're seeing things. They see this giant hulking figure in the background, like the size of Godzilla, slowly trudging through the city and wreaking havoc. And I got a little excited, hoping we were going to go the route of maybe Cloverfield or Godzilla, and we were going to get some cool destruction scenes. But we only see this giant for a split second, and Sarah has her glasses zoom in, and everything becomes pixelated and awful looking. And this seems to happen anytime the action is about to get good. They use this annoying glass zoom in function, and it kind of ruins the moment. But their reaction to that giant and to a lot of the other things that happen are just muted and really unrealistic. They don't really comment on it. They don't really freak out from it. They just kind of hit the ground and start running. I get they're trying to get out of the city, but their reactions just seemed unauthentic and unrealistic. There is a genuinely creepy scene that takes place in a mental hospital where Sarah has to go in to try and rescue Kevin because he's actually been taken away by some of the JeruZalem people and the police that put him there when he started freaking out about hell opens up. That's another moment where the characters completely underreact and they let them take Kevin away and are like, he'll be fine in a couple days. But that scene in the mental hospital is like a first person walk through a haunted attraction, and it actually does have a really cool atmosphere. The lighting is really neat in that scene, and that's definitely a highlight of this movie. Unfortunately, there's just not enough substance or interesting cinematography or even storytelling to recommend JeruZalem. I do feel like there is an interesting story that can be told from a first-person point of view or through someone's eyes or even through Google Glass or Glass. It's just not JeruZalem, unfortunately, and the script, the pacing, just prevent it from being a standout found footage movie. JeruZalem is a movie produced by the company Epic Pictures, and we do actually have two other Epic Pictures movies reviewed on our channel, Turbo Kid and Tales of Halloween, and those movies are fantastic. So check out those reviews, check out those two movies if you liked this one. Subscribe to Ghouls, Guts, and Gore on YouTube, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.